Mark Andrews' future with the Ravens might be about to change, and what he just revealed will surprise you. Imagine this. One of the most important players on the team, a true icon on Baltimore's offense, is about to make decisions that could impact not only his future, but also the entire team's future. What does he really think about staying with the Ravens? You won't want to miss this story. Stay with me until the end, because what's coming could change everything for Baltimore's future. Go Ravens! Since Lamar Jackson took control of the Ravens' offense, one name has been frequently mentioned whenever the team needed to advance. Mark Andrews. It wasn't a coincidence. Andrews became practically the trusted target, the guy who's always ready to step up when everything seems stuck. Does Lamar trust him? He trusts him like a brother. And it's not an exaggeration to say that, many times, the success of offensive drives depends exactly on the hands of number 89. When you look at the numbers, it's clear it's not just an impression. The two form one of the most efficient partnerships in the NFL in crucial conversions, touchdowns, and yards in high-pressure moments. But what the numbers don't show is the instinct. Andrews knows where to position himself, understands what Lamar needs even before the pass is thrown, and that's rare. It's like they play at the same mental rhythm. And when this type of connection happens, the offense flows differently, and it wasn't overnight. Mark Andrews arrived in 2018, the same year Lamar was drafted. They grew together in the NFL, learned from the same mistakes, suffered the same losses, and motivated each other in the same victories. This built something that goes beyond the field. This shared story created an emotional connection with the fans because seeing them work together is seeing the DNA of the Ravens being respected. But Andrews isn't just a safety valve in the passing game. He's physical, blocks with intent, doesn't shy away from contact, and faces any coverage. When you see a tight end with talent, grit, and leadership presence, you know you're looking at someone who carries part of the team's offensive soul. And that's exactly what he represents. A player who puts his heart into every route, every block, every snap. Moreover, he's the type of player who makes those around him better. The attention the opposing defense has to give Andrews opens up space for the wide receivers, for the running game, for Lamar to improvise. He shapes how the offense is planned and how the opponent needs to prepare. It's a quiet force that doesn't always make headlines, but it defines the rhythm of the game. But now, even with all that, signs are starting to show that the future might not be so certain. Despite Andrews' importance, statements in the front office have raised some eyebrows, as if there was some doubt about what's ahead. We know the NFL is a business, but when a player like him becomes a topic of uncertainty, something is shifting behind the scenes. And that brings us to the next point. What exactly did Eric DeCosta mean with his comments? Because when the Ravens general manager speaks so carefully about one of the team's pillars, you can feel there's more to it than what was said. When a general manager like Eric DeCosta decides to speak publicly about one of his key players, fans already raise an eyebrow. His comment about Mark Andrews was full of respect. Yes, but also full of hidden meanings. He called Andrews a warrior, praised his talent, his dedication, his value to franchise, but then came the famous, "You never know what could happen." And that's where the doubt creeps in. DeCosta knows the weight his words carry. Nothing a GM says is by chance, especially just days before the draft. And when he talks about unpredictability, he's opening the door for interpretations. One of them is that the Ravens might be preparing for a future without Andrews. This doesn't mean they're going to trade or cut him tomorrow, but rather that the team is looking ahead, and this includes evaluating the cost-benefit of each player. This statement comes at a delicate time. Fans know how much Andrews gives on the field. So, hearing the head of the team not guarantee his future makes you wonder, is the team really willing to part ways with one of their technical and emotional leaders? Because we value the player. But anything can happen. Speech is almost always the start of transition. The mention of the draft itself shows this. When DeCosta says the draft is unpredictable, he's not only referring to the choices of other teams. He's leaving it open that the Ravens might make unexpected decisions. And this could very well include selecting a new tight end, a younger, cheaper player with fewer injury concerns who can develop over the next few years. This would inevitably put pressure on Andrews. But at the same time, DeCosta doesn't shut the door. He knows that to maintain harmony in the locker room and the focus of the team, He needs to be diplomatic. And that's exactly what he did. He played with words. And when that happens, fans who are paying attention can already tell. Things are being considered. Scenarios are being simulated. And Andrews is part of that equation. His contract, age, physical condition. It's all on the discussion table. Fans also realize this statement doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes just before an important event like the draft. And that's no coincidence. It might be an attempt to send an internal message or even to open up external possibilities. In the NFL, this kind of speech can even be used as a strategy to gauge the market. See who takes the bait, who calls to inquire about Andrews. And that's why everyone wanted to know how Mark Andrews would respond. And his reply was direct, firm, and perhaps even more revealing than DaCosta's own speech. Did you catch what was really behind Eric DaCosta's words? Leave your thoughts in the comments if you also felt that hint of uncertainty, or if you think it was just a standard comment with no hidden meaning. Have you seen other executives speak like this before a big change? Let's discuss in the comments. When Mark Andrews was asked about all of this, he didn't hesitate. He was direct, with the calmness of someone who knows what he represents within the franchise. He said that he trusts Eric DaCosta completely, praised his relationship with the organization, and made it clear he is focused on training, evolving, and making the next season the best of his career. He didn't respond with hostility or fuel any rumors. He responded with a leader's stance. What stands out is that, even with the general manager's subtle comments still fresh, Andrews showed no discomfort. This shows two things. First, that there's a great maturity between him and the front office. Second, that he doesn't want to leave room for controversy. This type of stance is typical of a player who understands the weight of his words, his role, and his moment with the team. It's also a silent message. I am doing my part. It's important to note that he didn't promise anything. He didn't talk about a contract renewal, nor did he guarantee staying beyond his current contract. The focus was entirely on the field, on effort, on performance. This shows that Andrews also understands a behind-the-scenes game. He knows that any statement beyond this could be used in various ways, so he preferred to take the balanced approach. He responded as if sending a message of trust, but without locking down his future. This response is also strategic. By showing trust in the franchise and emphasizing his hard work, he elevates his value. He shows professionalism, that he is reliable, and that weighs both for a potential new contract with the Ravens and for any interested parties, in case the team decides to go a different route. It's a speech that protects his image, strengthens his name in the market, and at the same time keeps the locker room atmosphere calm. Andrews' tone was that of someone who still sees himself as central to the Super Bowl hunt. And honestly, he has every reason to think that. He still plays at a high level, is respected internally, and is a presence that balances technique with leadership. The way he responded may have been simple, but the message is powerful. As long as he's on the field, he will do everything to help the team win. And in the end, that's what matters most. On the other hand, the absence of any mention of contract or future beyond 2025 raises a question. Does he himself already feel that he might be living his final chapters with the Ravens? The maturity of his speech doesn't hide the fact that there's a fog on the horizon. And when a player avoids touching on the subject, it's sometimes because the ending is already being negotiated, even if in silence. And it's in this silence that a crucial factor for understanding what lies ahead comes in: Mark Andrews' contract. Because no matter how nice the speech is, the numbers are hard, and they might speak louder than any public statement. Mark Andrews enters a 2025 season with a hefty contract, almost $17 million in cap hit, which places his situation under intense scrutiny. Even with the impact he has on the field, the financial side cannot be ignored. The NFL is, above all, a business, and a player's performance must be analyzed in light of what they represent financially to the team. With Andrews' contract set to expire in 2026, the big question is, will the Ravens be able to keep the star on the roster for longer? The reality is that at 29, Andrews still has a lot to offer, but he's about to enter a phase of his career where renewal costs start to rise, especially if he continues at the same level of production. Renewing with him means freeing up more cap space, which could directly impact other moves within the roster, such as restructuring Lamar Jackson's contract or adding new pieces to the team. So, The team must weigh all of this before making a decision. At the same time, if the Ravens decide not to renew with him now, the risk is significant. Andrews has been a key piece of the offense, and losing a player of his caliber could hurt their chances of a title in the coming years. On the other hand, if they opt to give him a new contract, they'll be betting on a veteran who is already knocking on 30, bringing its own risks. Will he be able to maintain the same level of excellence for a while longer? Or will renewal be a risky investment for the future? With free agency approaching, it's inevitable that fans are wondering if the Ravens will opt for a long-term contract to secure Andrews' continuity, or they'll try to negotiate a shorter renewal based on annual performance. The decisions the franchise makes now will have a significant impact on the near future, both on the field and financially. Moreover, the nature of the NFL, with its increasingly competitive free agent market, puts pressure on the franchise to make smart choices. Other teams will also be eyeing Andrews if he becomes available. And with his quality and reputation, he could be one of the biggest targets on the market. The question is, are the Ravens ready to take the risk of losing one of their biggest offensive leaders? The issue of cap space and contracts is already significantly affecting the team. There's a growing number of new talents emerging, and with that come cheaper alternatives. With Andrews' contract ending, the team will need to think about how to balance the contract of their more expensive players and the necessary moves to stay competitive. Ultimately, it will be this contractual decision that could make or break Baltimore's title aspirations. And the truth is that the next crucial decision for the Ravens goes beyond Andrews' contract. It involves a broader choice. Is a team willing to let go of an icon, a player who already has history, to invest in a radical renewal? Well, we're about to move on to the fifth topic. But before we do, I notice you haven't liked this video yet. This is really important for YouTube to keep recommending my content to you, and I'll continue bringing you the best Baltimore Ravens content. So, go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and I appreciate it. Thanks. Moving on. As the draft approaches, Mark Andrews' situation becomes even more relevant. Although not an immediate need, the tight end remains a central piece in the Ravens' offense. But the truth is, with Andrews' age and his contract about to expire, the draft becomes the perfect moment for Baltimore to start thinking about alternatives for the future. Will the team try to strengthen the tight end position by seeking a younger, cheaper player, or will they bet on Andrews' proven talent for a few more seasons? The draft is an opportunity to renew the roster, make room for new talent, and simultaneously reduce costs associated with veteran players. Selecting a young tight end could ensure that, when Andrews is no longer with the team, the offense will still have the necessary strength at the position. Furthermore, a new tight end with a lot of potential could be the type of player who fits into franchise's future alongside Lamar Jackson and other key players. However, the big question is the franchise ready to make this transition now, or is there still room for a few more years of partnership between Andrews and Lamar? This is something the Ravens will have to weigh as they observe the available options in the draft. It may be tempting to add another promising tight end, but it could also be risky to place a rookie in such an important position without the experience of a veteran like Andrews. It is important to note that, with the next draft pick, the team will have to be strategic. The Ravens do not have a pressing need at tight, and compared to other more urgent positions, such as the offensive line or the wide receiver core. So, the question is, will the team select a tight end out of need for renewal, or because they truly see the long-term potential of new talent in this position? Moreover, the arrival of a rookie tight end doesn't necessarily mean Andrews' departure, but could be a way to pressure him to ensure his continued presence with the team. As the draft approaches, the conversation about Andrews' future will likely gain more momentum, and the Ravens' decision could change the direction of the team in the coming years. The team is at a crossroads. Keeping a player as important as Andrews is a commitment to present and the team's stability. But at the same time, a shift to youth could be the key to a renewal that looks to the future with more confidence. The draft will be a reflection of all this, an opportunity for the Ravens to decide whether to bet on a new generation or on something that has already worked in the past. And it's exactly this uncertainty that leads us to the next step in the analysis. How will the Ravens balance their immediate needs with their long-term plans? Because regardless of what they decide, the impact will be profound both for the team and for fans. As the draft approaches, the pressure on the Ravens' management increases. The decision to select a tight end or invest in other key positions could define the team's immediate future. Although Mark Andrews has been a vital piece of the offense in recent years, the Ravens know they need to look ahead. The pressure of a team constantly chasing the Super Bowl and an urgent need of reinforcements in several areas could place the Ravens in a difficult position. Maintain the status quo with Andrews or pursue something new. The draft pick always comes with high expectations, especially in a year when the Ravens do not have as many urgent needs at certain positions. The temptation to invest in a promising tight end, perhaps with the goal of projecting a new generation alongside Lamar Jackson, will be strong. But will the Ravens have the courage to make this transition now? With Andrews still delivering excellent on-field performance, this pressure also comes from the fans, who have a deep affection for Andrews. The emotional connection between the tight end and the fan base is clear. He is seen as one of the cornerstones of the team, someone who has been a constant presence in key moments of the Ravens' recent history. So, when considering the possibility of a future without him, the franchise must balance this emotional weight with the reality that the NFL is a business, where decisions must be made with an eye on the future. If the Ravens decide on a younger tight end in the draft, it could be a sign that the franchise wants to shake up the roster and start preparing for a new era. However, at the same time, this choice could also affect the team's morale, giving the impression that the team is distancing itself from a player who has been crucial in high-profile moments. And that wouldn't be easy to digest for everyone within the organization. Another issue to consider is how Lamar Jackson will react to this decision. As the team leader, he has a long-standing relationship with Andrews, and if the Ravens choose to change direction, it could have an impact not only on the game, but also on relationships within the locker room. The dynamic between the players could shift, and Lamar's leadership role could be tested if he needs to adapt to new pieces on the roster. Ultimately, the decision the Ravens make in the draft could very well be a turning point for the franchise. A correct move could set the team on a clear path to success. A wrong one could delay the long-awaited title. And as everyone waits to see what the franchise's next step will be, Mark Andrews' future remains one of the central issues the Ravens need to resolve. And in analyzing these choices, one question persists: how far are the Ravens willing to change, or will they embrace the familiar and try to stick with a team that has already brought so many victories, including a special connection with a leader like Andrews? This could be the key to what lies ahead. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment saying, Andrews is the heart of the Ravens offense, so I'll know you also recognize the impact he's had on the team's history and the game. Moving on, the Ravens' decision regarding Mark Andrews' future will be more than just a contract negotiation. It will reflect their vision for the future and what the team wants in the years to come. If they decide to renew with Andrews, they will be opting for continuation of a solid relationship and maintaining a central piece in an offense that has already proven effective. However, if they choose to leave Andrews' future open, it signals a potential transition to a new era, where the team will bet on a new generation of players. For the fans, what is at stake goes beyond the financial or strategic aspect. It is a matter of legacy. Andrews is seen as one of the greatest icons in the Ravens' recent history. His presence in crucial moments and his ability to shine in big games have created an emotional connection with the fan base. Therefore, a decision involving his departure from the team could feel like the end of a cycle, the closing of a victorious era. This carries a weight that cannot be ignored, especially in a city where fans are so loyal to their idols. However, the NFL is a ruthless environment where decisions must be made with a long term in mind, and it is not always possible to keep a legendary player throughout his career. If the Ravens decide to pursue a younger tight end, this does not mean the franchise is devaluing Andrews' work, but rather adjusting to a constantly evolving market. Transitioning to a new generation, even with the pain of losing such an important player, could be the path to continued success for the franchise. The future of the Ravens also depends on how the team handles the expectations of Lamar Jackson and other key members of the roster. Will Lamar be able to adapt to new targets in the offense if the team makes significant changes? Or will he continue to rely on established players like Andrews? Lamar's leadership role, especially if he remains the face of the franchise, will also be tested. And all of this, of course, is intertwined with the decision made regarding Andrews. On the other hand, If the team decides to invest in the future by bringing in new pieces, this could be an opportunity for renewal, but it also brings a series of challenges in terms of adaptation and cohesion. The younger players need to gel quickly to make a difference, and the team needs to ensure that the new talent fits within the Ravens' philosophy, a team that has always had a solid defense and high-impact offense. Ultimately, the decision on Mark Andrews will be crucial not only for the Ravens, but also for the immediate future of Lamar Jackson and the entire team. The history of the franchise will be defined by this choice, a choice that could mark the end of a cycle or the beginning of a new era. Whatever path is chosen, the impact will be profound and lasting. And you, how do you see this possible change in the team? Do you think the Ravens should invest in the future or maintain the stability with Andrews? Leave your opinion in the comments, and let's discuss Baltimore's future. Now, after everything we've seen, the big question that remains is, what will Mark Andrews' future be with the Ravens? He has become an essential piece in the team, but the decision regarding his stay could change the franchise's direction. The doubt is in the air, and the next steps will be decisive. Will Baltimore bet on the veteran or seek a new direction? Younger with more potential for growth? What we do know is that the choice the Ravens make could have a deep impact on the team and, of course, on the journey to the long-awaited Super Bowl. Now, it's up to you. What do you think about this possible transition? Leave your opinion in the comments because this is a debate that promises to stir up the next few weeks. Let's keep this conversation going because the future of the Ravens is at stake.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.